Jake Morrison wiped the grease from his hands and looked at the broken engine in front of him. It was Tuesday morning, and he had 3 more cars to fix before lunch. The small garage in Denver was quiet, except for the sound of tools and the old radio playing country music. Jake liked his simple life. He fixed cars, went home to his apartment upstairs, and watched TV until he fell asleep. The bell above the door rang as someone walked in. Jake looked up to see a woman in a black suit carrying a briefcase. She looked like a lawyer or someone from the government. Jake did not get many visitors like this. "Are you Jake Morrison?" the woman asked. "Yes, that's me. What can I do for you?" Jake stood up and wiped his hands on his work shirt. "My name is Helen Barnes. I'm a lawyer. I need to talk to you about Lucas Grant." Jake's heart stopped for a moment. Lucas Grant was his best friend from childhood. They grew up together, went to school together, and dreamed about space together. But Lucas left Earth 15 years ago to explore the stars. His ship went missing, and everyone said he was dead. "Lucas? What about him?" Jake asked. Helen opened her briefcase and pulled out some papers. "I'm sorry to tell you this, but Lucas Grant died 6 months ago. But before he died, he made a will. He left you something." Jake sat down on an old chair. His friend was really dead. Part of him always hoped Lucas would come back someday with stories about alien worlds and space adventures. "What did he leave me?" Jake asked quietly. Helen looked at her papers. "He left you his personal things, some money, and..." She paused and looked uncomfortable. "And his wife." "His wife?" Jake almost fell off the chair. "Lucas got married?" "Yes, to an alien woman named Zara. She's from a species called the Volanti. According to their marriage contract in Volanti law, when Lucas died, his closest friend must take care of his wife." Jake stared at Helen. This was crazy. He had never even seen an alien person. Now he was supposed to take care of one? "I don't understand." "Why me?" Jake asked. "Lucas wrote in his will that you were his best friend and the only person he trusted. The Volanti woman must stay with you until she decides to marry someone else or go back to her home planet." Helen handed Jake more papers. "She's waiting at the spaceport right now. You need to pick her up today." Jake looked at the papers but could not read them. His mind was spinning. He had a normal life. He fixed cars and lived alone. How could he take care of an alien wife? "What if I say no?" Jake asked. "You could, but then she would have nowhere to go. The Volanti government sent her here based on Lucas's promise. If you refuse, she might be sent to a refugee camp or worse." Jake thought about Lucas. His friend had always helped people. When they were kids, Lucas would give his lunch to hungry classmates. He would stand up to bullies even when he was scared. If Lucas trusted him with this, there must be a good reason. "Okay," Jake said. "I'll do it." 2 hours later, Jake stood at the spaceport feeling nervous. He had never been to the spaceport before. It was huge and full of people from different planets. Some looked almost human, others were very different. The air smelled strange, like metal and ozone. Helen led him to a waiting area. She should be here soon. The transport ship from the outer colonies just arrived. Jake watched as passengers walked out of the ship. Most were human, but some were clearly not. Then he saw her. Zara was tall, much taller than Jake. She was almost 7 feet tall with skin that was light blue and seemed to glow softly. Her hair was silver and moved like water even when there was no wind. Her eyes were large and violet-colored like precious stones. She wore simple clothes that looked like they were made from some kind of shimmering fabric. She was the most beautiful person Jake had ever seen, alien or human. Zara walked toward them carrying a small bag. She moved with grace, like a dancer. When she got close, Jake could see that her eyes looked sad and tired. "You must be Jake," she said. Her voice was soft and musical, with an accent Jake had never heard before. "Lucas told me about you many times." "Yes, I'm Jake. I'm sorry about Lucas. He was a good friend." Zara nodded. "He was a good husband too. He talked about you often. He said you were the kindest human he knew." Jake felt his face get hot. He was not used to compliments, especially from beautiful women. Helen cleared her throat. "I need both of you to sign these papers. They make the guardianship legal under Earth and Volanti law. As they signed the papers, Jake snuck looks at Zara. She seemed calm, but he could tell she was worried. This was probably as strange for her as it was for him. "Do you have somewhere to stay?" Zara asked after they finished with the lawyer. "I have an apartment above my garage. It's small, but you can stay there." Jake picked up her bag. It was surprisingly light. They rode in Jake's old truck back to the garage. Zara looked out the window at the city with interest. "Earth is very different from my home," she said. "What's your home like?" Jake asked. "Cathara has 3 suns and the sky is always purple. The buildings are made of crystal and float above the ground. But it's dying now." Her voice became very sad. "Dying? What do you mean?" "My people are sick. A plague affects our energy cores. We cannot make new children, and our technology is failing. That's why I married Lucas. He promised to help find a cure." Jake felt sorry for her. She had lost her husband, and her home was dying. No wonder she looked sad. They arrived at the garage. Jake showed her the stairs to his apartment. It was small with 1 bedroom, a kitchen, and a living room. Jake realized he would have to sleep on the couch. "It's not much, but it's clean," Jake said. Zara looked around. "It's perfect. Thank you for letting me stay." "You don't have to thank me. Lucas would have done the same for me." That evening, Jake made dinner while Zara sat at the small table. He was not a good cook, but he tried to make something she might like. "Tell me about Lucas," Zara said as they hushed her. "What was he like as a child?" Jake smiled as he remembered. He was always dreaming about the stars. He would lie on his back in the grass and point at the sky, talking about all the places he would visit someday. He was brave too. Once he climbed the tallest tree in town just because someone said it was impossible. "That sounds like the Lucas I knew," Zara said. "He was always trying to help people, even when it was dangerous." "How did he die?" Jake asked gently. Zara's eyes filled with tears. "He was working with scientists from many worlds to find a cure for my people's plague. Bad aliens called the Korthak attacked their research station. Lucas stayed behind to protect the data and make sure I could escape. He saved the research, but..." She could not finish. Jake reached across the table and touched her hand. Her skin felt warm and tingly, like touching a battery. "He died being a hero. That's exactly what Lucas would do." Zara squeezed his hand. "Thank you for saying that, and thank you for taking care of me. I know this is strange for you." Jake looked at this beautiful, sad alien woman sitting in his small kitchen. His simple life was about to become very complicated, but looking at Zara, he thought maybe that was not such a bad thing. "We'll figure it out together," he said. The first week with Zara was strange for Jake. She was quiet and polite, but he could tell she was trying hard to understand human ways. Every morning she would wake up before sunrise and sit by the window looking at the sky. Jake learned that, on her planet, people greeted each of the 3 suns when they rose. "Do you miss your home?" Jake asked one morning as he made coffee. "Very much," Zara said, "but I cannot go back. Not until we find the cure Lucas was working on." Jake handed her a cup of coffee. She had tried it the first day and made a face like she was drinking poison, but she kept trying because she said Lucas loved coffee. "What kind of cure was he looking for?" Jake asked. Zara touched the coffee cup and it began to glow softly. Jake had seen her do this before with broken things around the apartment. She could somehow make electronics work just by touching them. "My people have energy cores inside our bodies. They help us live and give us our abilities. But a plague is making the cores die. When that happens, we get sick and cannot have children." She made the coffee cup stop glowing and took a small sip. Lucas thought human DNA might help. Humans are very good at adapting to new things. Your bodies fight sickness better than most species. Jake did not understand all the science, but he could see how much this meant to her. "Maybe I can help somehow." Zara looked surprised. "You would do that? Lucas was my friend, and now you're my..." Jake stopped. He did not know what to call her. She was not really his wife, but she was more than just a guest. Friend, Zara finished with a small smile. I would like to be your friend, Jake Morrison. That morning, Zara came down to the garage with Jake. She had been staying in the apartment for a week, but she said she was bored. I want to help, she said. On my world, I was an engineer. I fixed machines and built new ones. Jake was working on Mrs. Peterson's car. The engine made strange noises and would not start properly. He had been trying to fix it for 2 days. I cannot figure out what's wrong with this thing, Jake said, wiping sweat from his face. Zara walked over to the car and placed her hands on the hood. Her skin began to glow softly, and Jake heard a humming sound. After a minute, she opened her eyes. The fuel injection system has a blocked sensor. Also, 3 wires in the electrical system are damaged, and the air filter needs to be replaced. Jake stared at her. He had checked the fuel system twice and had not found any problems. But when he looked where Zara pointed, there was indeed a blocked sensor. The damaged wires were hidden behind other parts where he had not thought to look. How did you know that? Jake asked. I can feel the energy flow in machines. When something is wrong, the energy does not move correctly. Zara touched the blocked sensor, and it began to work again. On my world, all technology uses bioelectric energy. We learn to feel it from childhood. Jake fixed the wires and replaced the air filter. When he started the car, it ran perfectly. Word spread quickly through the small town about Jake's new helper. By the end of the week, people were coming to the garage just to see the alien woman who could fix anything by touching it. Most people were curious and friendly. Mary Chen, who owned the Chinese restaurant next door, brought Zara homemade soup every day. You're too skinny, she would say. Eat more. Kevin Walsh, the high school science teacher, came by almost every afternoon to ask Zara questions about her world and her technology. She was patient and tried to explain things in simple terms. But not everyone was happy about Zara being in town. Pete Davis, who was on the town council, came to the garage one day with an angry look on his face. Morrison, we need to talk, Pete said. He was a big man who thought he was important because his family had lived in the town for a long time. What about? Jake asked. He was under a car trying to fix the brakes. About that alien you're keeping here. People are worried. Jake slid out from under the car. Zara was across the garage working on a broken computer. She pretended not to listen, but Jake could tell she heard everything. Worried about what? Jake asked. She's not human. We don't know what she might do. What if she's dangerous? What if more aliens come looking for her? Jake stood up and wiped his hands on a rag. Zara has been here 2 weeks. Has she hurt anyone? Has she caused any trouble? That's not the point, Pete said. She doesn't belong here. This is a human town. This is America, Jake said, getting angry. People from all over the world live here. Why should aliens be different? Pete's face got red. Because aliens aren't people. They're things. Dangerous things. Jake stepped closer to Pete. You need to leave. Now. After Pete left, Jake walked over to Zara. She was still working on the computer, but her hands were shaking. Don't listen to him, Jake said. Not everyone thinks that way. I know, Zara said quietly. But maybe he's right. Maybe I don't belong here. You belong wherever you want to be, Jake said. And right now, you're helping people. Mrs. Peterson's car runs better than it has in years. Mr. Garcia's computer works perfectly now. You're making life better for everyone. Zara looked up at him with her big violet eyes. Thank you, Jake. Lucas said you were kind, but I did not understand how much until now. As the days passed, Jake began to learn more about Zara and her people. She told him that Volanti could live for hundreds of years, but the plague was killing them young. She was only 50 years old, which was like being 25 for humans. She also told him about her marriage to Lucas. It had been arranged by her government as part of a deal for Lucas's help with the plague. But she said Lucas had been respectful and kind, and she had grown to care for him. Did you love him? Jake asked one evening as they ate dinner. Zara thought for a long moment. I loved him as a good friend and partner. But not the way humans Love when they choose each other. We did not have time for that kind of love. Jake nodded. He understood. Sometimes love took time to grow. 1 month after Zara arrived, something happened that changed everything. Jake was working late in the garage when he heard a strange sound outside. It was like wind, but there was no wind that night. He went outside and looked up at the sky. 3 bright lights were moving across the stars. They were moving too fast and in the wrong direction to be airplanes. "Zara!" Jake called up to the apartment. Zara came down quickly. When she saw the lights, her face went white. "We need to hide," she said. "Those are Korthak ships." "Korthak? The ones who killed Lucas?" "Yes, they must have found me." Zara grabbed Jake's arm. "I'm sorry, Jake. I should have left before they came. Now you're in danger because of me." Jake looked at the alien ships in the sky, then at Zara's frightened face. He thought about Pete Davis and his angry words. He thought about the people in town who had been kind to Zara. He thought about Lucas and what his friend would want him to do. "We're not hiding," Jake said. "We're going to fight." "Fight?" "Jake, you don't understand. The Korthak are warriors. They have weapons that can destroy cities." "Maybe," Jake said. "But this is Earth, and on Earth we don't give up our friends without a fight." The lights in the sky grew brighter as the ships came closer. Jake could see now that they were huge, much bigger than any Earth ship, but he was not afraid. He had something the Korthak did not understand. He had something worth fighting for. The Korthak ships landed in the field outside town just as the sun was coming up. Jake and Zara watched from the garage window as 3 huge black ships settled on the ground. Each ship was the size of a city block and covered in sharp angles that made them look like giant weapons. "How many are there?" Jake asked. Zara's face was pale with fear. "Each ship carries about 200 soldiers. The Korthak are born warriors. They live to fight and conquer." Within an hour, the whole town knew about the alien ships. People gathered in the streets, some curious, others scared. Sheriff Roy Cooper drove up to the garage in his patrol car. "Jake, I need to talk to you," Roy said. He was a good man who had been sheriff for 20 years. "These aliens are asking for the Volanti woman. They say if we give her to them, they'll leave peacefully." "And if we don't?" Jake asked. "They didn't say, but I don't think it would be good." Before Jake could answer, a group of people walked up to the garage. Pete Davis was leading them, and he looked angry. "Morrison," Pete shouted. "This is your fault. You brought that alien here, and now we're all in danger." Mary Chen stepped forward from the crowd. "Leave them alone, Pete. Zara has done nothing wrong." "Nothing wrong?" Pete's face was red. "Look at those ships. They came here because of her." Kevin Walsh, the teacher, pushed through the crowd. "Maybe we should hear what they want before we make any decisions." "I know what they want," Zara said quietly. "They want me because I carry the research data that Lucas died protecting. If they get it, they can control the cure for my people's plague. They will use it to make other species submit to them." Jake looked at the crowd. Some people looked scared, others looked angry. A few, like Mary and Kevin, looked ready to help. "What research data?" Sheriff Cooper asked. Zara touched her chest over her heart. "Lucas found a way to combine human and Volanti DNA to create a cure. Before he died, he transmitted the data to me. It's stored in my bioelectric core." "So you're carrying the cure inside you?" Jake asked. "Yes, but I cannot make it alone. I need human DNA and special equipment." Pete Davis pushed forward. "Give her to them. We can't fight alien warriors. If we give them what they want, they'll leave us alone." "Will they?" Jake looked at Zara. "If you give them the data, will they really leave Earth alone?" Zara shook her head. "No, the Korthak never leave anyone alone. They will take the data, then they will make Earth part of their empire. They see humans as weak because you have not spread across the galaxy yet. Then we fight," Jake said simply. Pete laughed. "Fight? With what?" "We have hunting rifles and shotguns. They have spaceships." Before anyone could answer, a loud voice came from the sky. It was speaking English, but with a harsh accent that hurt to listen to. "Humans of this settlement. We are Commander Vex of the Korthak Empire. We require the Volante female called Zara. Deliver her to us within 1 day, or we will take her by force." The voice stopped, and everyone looked at each other nervously. Sheriff Cooper cleared his throat. "I need to call the state police, maybe the National Guard." "They won't get here in time," Jake said. "And even if they do, what can they do against spaceships?" "So what do you suggest?" Pete asked sarcastically. Jake looked at Zara, then at the crowd of people. His neighbors, his friends, people he had known his whole life. He thought about Lucas and what his friend would do. "We give them a fight they don't expect," Jake said. That afternoon, Jake called a town meeting in the high school gym. Most of the town showed up, about 300 people. Some were scared, some were angry, and some looked ready for a fight. Jake stood up in front of everyone. "I know this is scary. I know it's not fair that aliens came here because of me and Zara. But they're here now, and we have to decide what to do." "Give them the alien and let them leave," Pete Davis shouted from the back. "And then what?" Mary Chen stood up. "My grandfather came here from China with nothing. People said he didn't belong here either. But this town became his home and he made it better. Now we're going to throw away someone who has helped all of us?" "That's different," Pete said. "Your grandfather was human." "So what?" Kevin Walsh stood up. "Zara fixed my classroom computers for free. She helped Mrs. Henderson's grandson when his electronic wheelchair broke. She's done more good for this town in 2 months than you've done in 10 years, Pete." Other people began to speak up. Zara had helped many of them. She had fixed cars, computers, phones, and other machines that no one else could repair. She had been kind and polite to everyone. But some people agreed with Pete. They were scared of the alien ships and wanted Zara to leave. Sheriff Cooper stood up. "Folks, I talked to the state police and the military. Help is coming, but it won't be here. For 2 days, we're on our own until then. What can we do against alien technology?" someone asked. Zara stepped forward. She had been quiet during the meeting, but now she looked determined. "I can help you fight. I know Korthak technology and tactics. They think humans are weak and stupid. We can use that against them." "How?" Jake asked. "Korthak warriors are strong and well-armed, but they're not smart. They always use the same attack patterns. They expect enemies to either run away or fight them directly. They don't expect tricks or traps." Old Mr. Patterson, who had fought in 3 wars, stood up. "What kind of tricks?" Zara smiled for the first time since the ships arrived. "The kind that humans are very good at. Lucas always said humans were the best at finding unexpected solutions to problems." Jake felt a spark of hope. "What do you need?" "Time, some basic equipment, and people who are willing to fight for their home." The town voted. It was close, but more people decided to fight than to give up. Even some who voted to fight looked scared, but they were willing to try. That night, Jake and Zara worked in the garage preparing for battle. Zara showed Jake how to modify ordinary tools and equipment to work against Korthak technology. "Their armor is strong against energy weapons, but it has weak points," Zara explained as she touched a welding torch and made it glow brighter. "Also, they cannot see well in certain types of light." Jake watched as she modified flashlights, car batteries, and even the town's streetlights. Her bioelectric abilities let her change the frequency of the lights to something that would blind Korthak soldiers. "Why are you doing this?" Jake asked as they worked. "You could run away, hide somewhere until help comes." Zara stopped working and looked at him. "This town welcomed me when I had nowhere to go. You took care of me when you didn't have to. Lucas always said the best thing about humans was their loyalty to friends. Now I understand what he meant." Jake felt his heart beat faster. Over the past 2 months, he had grown to care about Zara more than he wanted to admit. She was beautiful, smart, and kind. But more than that, she felt like she belonged in his life. "Zara," Jake said quietly. "After this is over, if we survive, what will you do?" "I don't know," she said. "I cannot go home until the plague is cured, and I cannot make the cure alone." "What if we made it together? What if you stayed here?" Zara looked surprised. "You would want me to stay?" "Yes," Jake said. "I would want you to stay." Before Zara could answer, they heard a sound outside. The Korthak ships were powering up their weapons. Time was running out. "Tomorrow we fight," Jake said. "Tonight we finish getting ready." As they worked through the night, Jake wondered if his small town really had a chance against alien warriors. But looking at Zara, and thinking about his neighbors who had voted to fight, he felt something he had not expected. He felt hope. The attack came at dawn. Jake woke up to the sound of energy weapons firing in the distance. He rolled off the couch where he had been sleeping and ran to the window. The Korthak soldiers were marching toward town in perfect lines, their black armor gleaming in the morning sun. "Zara," Jake called. She came down from the bedroom already dressed and ready. "They're coming," she said. "Are your people ready?" Jake grabbed the radio that connected him to the other defenders around town. "This is Jake. Everyone in position?" Voices came back from different parts of town. Kevin Walsh was at the school, with 20 volunteers. Mary Chen was at the restaurant with another group. Sheriff Cooper was at the police station with the few deputies and anyone who knew how to shoot. "Remember the plan," Jake said into the radio. "Let them get close then. Hit them with the lights." Jake and Zara ran to the garage. They had spent all night turning it into their command center. Zara had connected every electronic device in town to a central control system. With her bioelectric abilities, she could control all the modified lights, car alarms, and other equipment from one place. Through the window, Jake could see the Korthak soldiers getting closer. They were huge, almost as tall as Zara, but much wider. Their armor made them look like walking tanks. Each one carried a weapon that could probably destroy a car with one shot. "There are so many of them," Jake said. "Only about 50 in this group," Zara replied. "Commander Vex is being careful. He doesn't want to risk too many soldiers against what he thinks are primitive humans." The Korthak reached the edge of town and stopped. Their leader, a massive soldier with red markings on his armor, stepped forward. "Humans," the leader shouted. "We know the Volanti female is here. Give her to us and your deaths will be quick." Jake picked up a megaphone. "Go back to your ships. We won't give you anything." The Korthak leader laughed. It sounded like metal scraping against stone. "Foolish humans, you cannot fight us. We have conquered 100 worlds." "But you've never fought Earth," Jake replied. The leader raised his weapon. "Then you will learn why the galaxy fears the Korthak." The soldiers began moving forward again. They spread out in a pattern that Zara said they always used. They expected the humans to either run away or try to fight them with normal weapons. "Now," Jake said. Zara placed her hands on the control panel. Every streetlight, car headlight, neon sign, and modified flashlight in town turned on at once. But these weren't normal lights anymore. Zara had changed them to produce a frequency that hurt Korthak eyes. The alien soldiers stopped and stumbled. Some dropped their weapons to cover their faces. Their leader shouted orders, but his soldiers couldn't see well enough to follow them. "Phase 2, Jake said into the radio. All around town, car alarms, fire sirens, and loudspeakers began making noise. But again, these weren't normal sounds. Zara had modified them to be painful to Korthak ears. The combination of blinding lights and horrible noise made the alien soldiers confused and angry. "Attack now," Jake shouted. The human defenders appeared from hiding places all around town. They weren't trying to fight the Korthak soldiers directly. Instead, they used Zara's plan. They threw modified flashlights that stuck to the alien armor and kept flashing. They used mirrors to reflect the bright lights into the aliens' faces. They made noise and confusion. The Korthak soldiers tried to fight back, but they couldn't see their targets clearly. Their weapons were powerful, but they kept missing. When they did hit something, it was usually a building or a car, not a person. Jake watched from the garage as his neighbors fought the alien invaders. Mary Chen threw pots and pans that Zara had modified to make horrible sounds when they hit. Korthak armor. Kevin Walsh used a leaf blower to spray dirt and dust at the aliens, making it even harder for them to see. But the plan wasn't perfect. Some of the Korthak soldiers were getting used to the lights and sounds. They started fighting more effectively. Jake saw one of his neighbors, old Mr. Patterson, get knocked down by an alien soldier. "We need to do more," Jake said. Zara was concentrating on controlling all the electronic devices. Sweat was running down her face from the effort. I'm trying, but there are limits to what I can do. Then Jake heard a new sound. Energy weapons firing. But these sounded different. He looked toward the edge of town and saw something that made him smile. More aliens were arriving, but these weren't Korthak. They were different species, and they were fighting against the Korthak soldiers. Who are they? Jake asked. Zara looked up from her controls. Refugees. Species that the Korthak have attacked before. Word must have spread that someone was fighting back. The new aliens were helping the humans. Some looked like giant insects, others were furry like animals, and some were stranger than Jake could have imagined. But they all had one thing in common. They hated the Korthak. The battle was turning. The Korthak soldiers were surrounded by humans making noise and confusion, and alien refugees with real weapons. Their perfect formation was broken. Some were trying to retreat back to their ships. But then something bad happened. A much larger group of Korthak soldiers came from the ships. These wore different armor and carried bigger weapons. Jake could see Commander Vex himself leading them. Elite soldiers, Zara said. They won't be affected by the lights and sounds as much. Jake picked up the radio. Everyone fall back to the school. We can't fight the elite soldiers the same way. As the humans and their alien allies retreated, the Korthak elite soldiers advanced. They moved differently than the first group. They were more careful, more professional. Commander Vex's voice boomed across the town. Clever humans, you fight like the small animals of your world. But games are over now. Jake and Zara reached the school where everyone was gathering. There were about 100 humans and maybe 30 alien refugees. Some people were hurt, but no one had been killed yet. Sheriff Cooper came over to Jake. That was good thinking, son. But what do we do now? Jake looked around at all the faces staring at him. These people were counting on him to have an answer, but he was just a mechanic who fixed cars. How was he supposed to fight alien warriors? Then he looked at Zara. She was tired from using her powers, but she was still trying to help. She was checking on wounded people and fixing damaged equipment. Zara, Jake said. The cure Lucas was working on. You said you needed human DNA to make it work. Yes. But we don't have the right equipment. Or time. What if we did? What if we could make the cure work? Zara looked confused. Jake, we're in the middle of a battle. This isn't the time. Maybe it is exactly the time. Jake turned to Kevin Walsh. Kevin, you're a science teacher. What kind of equipment does the school have? Basic chemistry lab. Some computers, microscopes. Nothing fancy. Jake looked back at Zara. You can control electronic equipment with your bioelectric powers. Could you make basic equipment work like advanced equipment? Zara's eyes got wide. You mean try to synthesize the cure here? Now? Why not? If we can make it work, we'll have something to bargain with. The Korthak want the cure so they can control other species. But if we can make it and give it away for free, they lose their power. Before Zara could answer, the windows exploded inward. Commander Vex and his elite soldiers were outside the school. Humans, Vex shouted. Your tricks will not work on us. Give us the Volanti female now, or we will kill everyone in this building. Jake stood up and walked to the broken window. He could see Vex clearly now. The Korthak commander was even bigger than his soldiers, with scars covering his armor and cruel yellow eyes. You want her? Jake called back. Come and take her. Vex laughed. Brave words from a weak human. Very well. We will take her from your dead body. The elite soldiers raised their weapons. Jake knew that in a few seconds they would all be dead. But he also knew that he couldn't live with himself if he gave up Zara without a fight. Together? Zara asked, taking his hand. Together, Jake replied. Just as Commander Vex was about to order his soldiers to fire, something incredible happened. A new voice came from the sky, speaking in perfect English. Commander Vex, this is Admiral Patricia Stone of the Earth Defense Force. You are ordered to withdraw immediately. Everyone looked up to see human spaceships appearing in the sky. They were smaller than the Korthak ships, but there were many of them. Jake had never seen Earth ships before. He didn't even know they existed. Vex snarled and spoke into a communication device. Admiral Stone, you are interfering with Korthak business. The Volanti female belongs to us. The Volanti female is under Earth protection, Admiral Stone replied. Leave now or face the consequences. Vex laughed. Your ships are toys compared to ours. We will destroy them, then take what we came for. But Jake noticed something. Some of the alien refugees were smiling. One of them, who looked like a giant cat with blue fur, walked over to Jake. Your Admiral Stone is smart, the alien said. She brought friends. More ships appeared in the sky. These weren't human ships. They belonged to the refugee species that the Korthak had attacked over the years. Dozens of different ship designs from dozens of different worlds. Commander Vex looked up at the sky, and for the first time, Jake saw worry on his face. He spoke quickly into his communication device, probably calling for more ships. Jake, Zara whispered. This is our chance. While they're distracted, we can try to make the cure. Jake nodded. He spoke quietly into his radio. Everyone keep the Korthak busy. Zara and I are going to try something. Jake and Zara ran to the school's science lab. It wasn't much, just some basic equipment that Kevin Walsh used to teach chemistry. But Zara immediately went to work. I need a sample of your blood, she said. Jake cut his finger with a knife and let some blood drop into a test tube. Zara placed her hands around the test tube and it began to glow. Jake could see the blood changing color as her bioelectric powers worked on it. What are you doing? Jake asked. Combining your human DNA with the data stored in my bioelectric core. Lucas figured out that human DNA has special sequences that can adapt to almost anything. When combined with Volanti bioelectric energy, it creates a cure that works on many species. Outside, they could hear the battle getting louder. Energy. Weapons were firing in space as the ships fought each other. On the ground, the Korthak soldiers were trying to break into the school while the humans and alien refugees held them back. How long do you need? Jake asked. A few more minutes. Zara was sweating as she concentrated. But Jake, there's something I need to tell you. To make this work properly, I have to transfer some of my bioelectric energy to you. It will change. You. Change me how? You'll be able to interface with alien technology like I can. But you'll still be human. Lucas called it the next step in human evolution. Jake thought about this. Being changed by alien technology sounded scary. But looking at Zara and hearing the battle outside, he knew what he had to do. Do it, he said. Zara placed one hand on the test tube and the other on Jake's chest. Jake felt electricity flowing through his body. It didn't hurt, but it felt strange, like his whole body was waking up from a long sleep. It's working, Zara said. I can feel the cure forming. Suddenly, the lab door exploded. Commander Vex stepped through, his yellow eyes fixed on Zara. Enough. Games, he growled. You come with me now or I kill everyone in this building. Jake stepped in front of Zara. You want her? You have to go through me. Vex laughed. One human against a Korthak commander? This will be over quickly. But when Vex raised his weapon, something unexpected happened. Jake could see the energy building up inside the weapon before it fired. He could feel the electronic systems in Vex's armor. The bioelectric changes Zara had made to him were working. Jake reached out and touched Vex's weapon. The energy that was building up suddenly reversed direction. Instead of firing at Jake, the weapon overloaded and exploded in Vex's hands. Vex stared at his destroyed weapon in shock. Impossible, you're just a human. I'm a human who doesn't give up, Jake said. Jake placed his hands on different parts of Vex's armor and made them stop working. The power systems failed, the communication devices died, and the armor's strength enhancement shut down. Suddenly, Vex was just a big alien in heavy metal clothing that didn't work. The cure is ready, Zara announced. She held up the test tube. Inside was a glowing liquid that seemed to pulse with its own light. Jake took the radio. Admiral Stone, this is Jake Morrison. We have something you need to know about. A few minutes later, Admiral Stone herself came down to the school in a small transport ship. She was a tall woman with gray hair and smart eyes. Behind her came several people in military uniforms and white coats. Mr. Morrison, Ms. Zara, she said. We've been monitoring your situation. What do you have for us? Zara explained about the cure while the military doctors took samples to test. Within an hour, they confirmed that it worked. Not just on the Volanti plague, but on several other diseases that affected different alien species. Admiral Stone spoke into her communication device. All ships, cease fire. We have a solution. She then opened a channel to the Korthak ships. Commander Vex, your mission is over. We have the cure you wanted and we're going to give it away for free to any species that needs it. You have no reason to fight anymore. But Vex, even though he was captured and his armor was broken, was still angry. The Korthak do not retreat. We will call more ships. We will destroy this world. No, you won't, said a new voice. Everyone turned to see more Korthak soldiers entering the lab. But these were different. They removed their helmets to show faces that looked tired and sad. Commander Vex, one of them said. We are here to arrest you for war crimes against the Korthak people. Jake was confused. I don't understand, the Korthak soldier explained. Not all Korthak agree with Vex's wars. Many of us are tired of fighting. When we heard that humans had found a way to cure diseases instead of using them as weapons, we decided to act. It turned out that there was a civil war happening in the Korthak Empire. Many Korthak wanted peace, but Vex and his followers kept starting new wars. The peaceful Korthak had been waiting for a chance to stop him. The cure that you and Zara created, the Korthak soldier said to Jake, it proves that cooperation is better than conquest. We want to learn from humans and other species, not destroy them. Over the next few days, amazing things happened. The cure was shared with dozens of alien species. Zara's people were saved from their plague. Other species were cured of diseases they had suffered from for centuries. Jake's small garage became the center of a new kind of diplomacy. Instead of meeting in fancy government buildings, alien representatives came to his simple shop to talk about cooperation and friendship. Pete Davis, who had wanted to give up Zara, was very quiet these days. Most people in town ignored him. Mary Chen, Kevin Walsh, and others who had helped fight were treated like heroes. But the biggest change was in Jake and Zara themselves. The bioelectric process had bonded them in ways they didn't fully understand. They could feel each other's emotions sometimes. They worked together perfectly, like two parts of the same machine. One evening, as they watched the sunset from their apartment, Zara asked Jake a question. What happens now? The cure is made. My people are safe. I could go home if I wanted to. Jake took her hand. What do you want to do? I want to stay here, with you. Not because I have to, but because I choose to. Jake smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. They were married a month later in a ceremony that mixed human and Volanti traditions. Representatives from 30 different alien species came to the wedding. It was held in the field where the Korthak ships had first landed, but now it was a symbol of peace instead of war. Jake's garage became the headquarters for the Interspecies Cooperation Council. He and Zara worked together, using human creativity and Volanti technology to solve problems for species all across the galaxy. Sometimes Jake thought about his old life, when he just fixed cars and watched TV. It had been simple and quiet, but looking at Zara and seeing all the good they were doing together, he knew he had found something much better. He had found a purpose, a partner, and a future that was bigger than anything he had ever imagined. And it all started because an old friend had trusted him to take care of someone special. Lucas would have been proud.